Hello, welcome back to my channel. This video I want to talk about skinny fat and how to measure progress properly, or how to know that you're actually making progress when you're skinny fat and the scale is not changing. Because when you are skinny fat, you don't necessarily need to lose weight or gain weight for a long time. The scale may not change, but in order to stay motivated and to know that what you're doing is actually working, you need to know how to identify progress and measure it the right way. So it's very important. So I'm going to give you 5 things that you should be doing or should be looking out for that will kind of confirm to you that you are making progress if you're skinny fat and help you keep going, I guess, because the hardest thing about being skinny fat is having that motivation to keep sticking to your workouts, keep sticking to your whatever macro targets that you're trying to hit. That is very important to changing your body, but you have to be in it for the long term, because when you're skinny fat, you're not going to get results overnight. You have to build muscle, and that takes time. So that brings me to the first measure of progress, and probably I think the most important one for you if you are skinny fat, and that is progress in the gym. So measuring strength gains and making sure each week you are increasing your strength in your workouts. Now, it doesn't have to be for every single exercise. It doesn't have to be adding massive amounts of weight to the bar or using heavier dumbbells, although that is a sign of strength gains. Other signs of strength gains are not so obvious. So doing an exercise with better form, that is a very, very, very good indicator of progress. If you can do a push-up and you used to be able to do them on your toes, but your form was always breaking down by the 8th or 10th rep and they just didn't look very good, but then the next week you go in and you get to the 8th rep and they look amazing, like every single one of them, that is an indicator that you have grown muscle and you have gained strength. So you need to focus and you really need to be making sure that you are gaining strength every week. Another really good indicator of strength is being able to do an exercise with the proper range of motion. So very common when we can't do something or we're not strong enough to do something, we will cheat in terms of the range of motion used. So you'll do a squat and instead of going all the way down, like pretty much bum to the floor, you will only go like halfway. And as a result, you're not really getting as much out of that exercise. You're probably going a bit too heavy for what you can do. So by improving your range of motion and getting a greater range of motion for the same weight, that is an indicator that you have gained strength and likely gained muscle. So what else? There's adding reps, adding sets, being able to do a more difficult variation of the same exercise. They're all indicators of strength gain. So you want to be tracking that and you want to be making sure every week, at least one exercise in the workout, you have gained some kind of strength in some way. So the second indicator of progress that I think is very, very important for skinny fat is making sure you are hitting your protein target. And so protein is so important. Most of my clients that come to me that are skinny fat are not eating enough protein. They're not working out, but they're not eating enough protein either. So we really have to work on that, and it's probably the biggest challenge that they have. So hitting your protein target is progress. If you have not tracked before, or if you haven't been eating enough protein and you know that, and then all of a sudden you've got this protein target that you have to hit, and just say you've been struggling to hit that, or you just know you haven't been eating that much protein, if you start hitting that protein target, that is progress, and that is going to mean that you are likely building muscle and you're likely moving forward towards that goal body that you have. So that's a very hard one to see, but just make sure you're doing it, and you kind of got to trust the process a little bit with that one, but it's very important and it is progress. I assure you, if you are following your workouts and trying to get strong And if you are hitting your protein target, you are moving forward. So believe it. The third indicator of progress when you're skinny fat is your body measurements going down. So most commonly, I get my clients to take their waist, usually in 3 spots, because depending on like the time of the month, if you're female, and like water retention, and usually it's common to lose fat from like the higher up section of your waist first compared to the lower section. So I like to take it around your belly button, and then like a centimeter or 2 above, and then below, and then making sure, and also the hips are important too. So taking those measurements, chest if you want to, because that can indicate back fat, which you're probably losing if you're skinny fat. But yeah, taking those measurements, and if they are going down, that is a very good indication. Even if the scale is staying the same, if they are going down and your strength is going up, very likely you are losing fat and you are building muscle. But if your strength is going up and the scale weight is staying the same, but your measurements aren't going down every week, like they're probably not going to go down every week, you probably want to be tracking them monthly. And I say that especially for females, because your cycle is going to impact your water retention, and that is going to impact your waist measurements. So if you're bloated and you know you're bloated, don't bother taking your waist measurement, because it's probably going to make you upset when you see it's either the same or it's gone up, which happens, but it's not actually fat, and it doesn't mean you're going backwards, but that number will probably play with your head and it will stuff things up, and you might self-sabotage or something like that. So make sure you are not bloated. I would recommend you take your measurements at the same time every month, usually at the start of your cycle in the first week. And yeah, if your body measurements generally are changing, then it means you're making progress, even if the scale is staying the same. The next indicator of progress when you're skinny fat and the scale is staying the same is your progress photos. Pretty obvious here. It's when you get used to looking at yourself every day, it's very hard to see progress that you're actually making, especially when it's like slight changes. And when you're skinny fat, the progress that you make, it's not going to be dramatic. It is going to be gradual slight changes that at the end result in a totally different looking body, but along the way you're probably not going to be able to see it that obviously. So that is why taking progress photos is very important, and seeing the slight changes, like being kind to yourself and learning how to identify them. They might not be what you want exactly yet, but they're progress, and you have to hold on to that, because that is going to help keep you motivated and keep you moving forward. The last indicator of progress that you want to be, or you might be making when you're skinny fat, it's similar to the protein one, hitting your calorie target consistently. So usually for skinny fat, I recommend staying around your maintenance calories, sometimes maybe going a little bit lower on rest days especially, but it just depends what your plan says. But hitting your calorie targets and then hitting that protein number consistently week after week, that is a form of progress, especially if you've never been tracking before and you used to have no idea how much you're eating. If you actually are aware of how much you're eating now, and things like how that food makes you feel, and you're starting to see food for what it is instead of good or bad, and then therefore you're not binging. And if you're getting rid of behaviors like that through tracking, and if you're staying consistent, and if you're learning more about food through tracking, that is all really good progress that is going to help you in the future. So actually paying attention and recognizing that as a form of progress, I think is very important. And even if the scale is staying the same, if you are tracking consistently, you're like hitting your numbers, you're making progress. So I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, send me an email, and I'll put the link to an article as well on body recomposition. If you're skinny fat, I recommend you read that. That'll help you explain more on how to set things up if you do want to change your body, and I'll put that link in the description box. Otherwise, have a great day and I will see you in the next video.